So I'm delighted to say joining us on the podcast for a second time, he's back a week later, is Michael Statham, or Eredivisie Mike on Twitter. Mike, great to have you back. A thoroughly entertaining game, I thought, on Thursday at London Stadium in the Europa Conference League semi-final first leg. West Ham going behind a little bit against a run of play, I thought, but then coming back. Reasonable win. I think Alkmaar were probably there for the taking at the end, and we could have got another one which would have made it a little bit more comfortable going to Holland on Thursday night. But a huge occasion certainly for West Ham, obviously for AZ as well. But before we get into Thursday, what did you make of the first leg?
Yeah, it wasn't the most exciting game, but I think it was just like tense, wasn't it? For both sides, it was a game that both sides wanted to do really well in for obvious reasons. And because of that, we didn't see the best football. I think AZ kept the ball better. I do think they had West Ham kind of where they wanted them for an hour. Then after West Ham kind of got ahead of steam, got the fans back on side, you could see why they was a Premier League team. And I think, yeah, you're right. Had their game gone much longer, I think the third goal might have come for West Ham. AZ just wants to find a whistle, I think, at the end.
Yeah.
But I think they did a lot of things right, and I think they made West Ham suffer, and I think they didn't enjoy it for a long time. And I think that's due to what AZ were doing really well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, that first half, I would describe it as frenetic. I thought the whole game was really entertaining. Like, I really enjoyed the whole game. And in the first half, I thought, you're right. Actually, it was probably that was the sort of game that AZ wanted to play. I think the ref. Honestly, I do think the European style of refereeing helped the European-based team. I just thought that and the way that AZ were playing, it was more of an AZ-friendly first half, and it was one of those situations. I was worried that West Ham, like the heads, you could lose the heads or whatever. But fortunately, I think we were matching, although the quality perhaps wasn't there for West Ham in the first half. I think they were matching AZ for effort, which is important, and which was important, and meant we were still in the game. I think the goal's pretty much against a run of play. It comes after lots of people in the stadium were calling for a foul on Lucas Paqueta. I thought that probably was a bit soft in hindsight. Areola may do better, but that was really all that the sort of the main threat, the only time I really felt threatened, and it was a decent strike from a long way out. I'm sort of pleased with the way the game turned out. What's the feeling among AZ fans, do you think? Were they sort of pleased with the way it went? Obviously not a greatest result, but far from over. I think the manager was talking afterwards about being very confident in the second leg.
Yeah, the fans didn't seem really downhearted by it. They weren't frustrated by the performance or anything like that. But that says a lot about where AZ as a club. Their expectations aren't skyrocketed as high as the top three, you could say, in the Netherlands. And AZ being there is brilliant in itself. But I think the expectation should be higher now. It's a really good side, and I think they didn't play as well as maybe they could have done. I think we'll see on this Thursday how much of a good team they are. I hope, touch wood, from my perspective. Because they're getting some players back. I think at home as well, they'll have more of a threat. There was a big occasion in London. So I think home advantage is a big factor in all this at this stage. I think, I think the players coming back will make a difference here. The fans weren't too disappointed. Like I said, that the reaction after the game was not a negative one. It was, well played, well fought, well performed, if you like. And second leg, they're confident.
Yeah. Sort of still in it, I get. Well, they're obviously still in it. One goal deficit is certainly not insurmountable, or certainly, not insurmountable at all. One thing I would note, though, I thought after our chat, I was sort of expecting a few less fans, but they filled up the away end pretty much. I saw a few empty seats towards the back of the upper tier, but the away end was pretty filled up, making a lot of noise before the kickoff in the early stages, obviously when they scored as well. And I genuinely thought they really made an occasion of it. I was sort of quietly surprised and impressed, basically. I genuinely thought they made an occasion of it. There was still that sense, I think, where I was pleased West Ham, came back into the game as they did. Well, who are the players coming back? I know you mentioned a couple of absentees last week on the podcast. Who are the players coming back, and what are they likely to bring or inject into the RZ side?
I'll start with a player that is definitely coming back in. That's Milos Kerkez, the left back, teenager, and he's flying forward all the time. Carries a lot of threat with him down left side.
Yep.
That's where his main kind of threat comes from. He's a class player. Really loves his overlapping runs into the box. Then in front of him, it depends what Pascal Janssen, the manager, wants to do. You could keep Van Breda, who didn't actually play too badly. He scored at the weekend. But Jesper Karlsson is back, and he's RZ's arguably best player. Yeah. He's tricky left winger and just has that magic. And when he came off the bench at the weekend, he didn't. He played half an hour. He didn't score a goal. But he did have a one run that he jogged through like 4 or 5 different players, and he hit the post. And it was like, that's what they've been missing, that bit of magic. And even though RZ won 5-1, they just missed that bit of spark against West Ham, and I think that would be really welcome back into the sides. Then there's a third player who could come in, might come off the bench, I think, and that's Danny DeVitt, who's a leader in that midfield. He plays as number 10 behind the striker, good aerial threat. He's a decent player, and I've missed him since January, so I think he might come off the bench.
No, fair enough. No, honestly, I was impressed, and I think, like you said, they really worked hard to create some opportunities and really gave it to West Ham, hammer and tongs early. That was clearly the plan. Tight marking, get up, don't give them a second to breathe. And with that high intensity play, you can't really maintain it for 90 minutes. And I think, like you said, it was probably played out the way they wanted it to, certainly for the first half. And then I just sensed they started to tire a bit. And by the end, they were kind of all over the place. And I was disappointed that West Ham didn't proper go for the jugular at the end and perhaps get another goal that they could have done. But like you say, they did seem a bit blunt going forward. There was some sort of quite nice, tidy sort of stuff off the back of the hard work. But you sense they were fighting so hard off the ball and for all the 50-50s and to defend with real high intensity that sometimes when they got the ball, it just felt unsustainable across 90 minutes. But
it did. And then when they were going forward, Pavlidis, the main goal threat, I guess, the striker, didn't get on the ball enough in those great areas. I was at one, wasn't there, where he was played through, and I think it was a last-ditch defender kind of got his foot out, or was it offside? Can't remember exactly. Yeah. But that was where, that's what Pavlidis is good at. And he didn't have many of those chances, but that's what RZ needs doing to get him higher at the pitch, given the right kind of balls. And also, Jordi Classy in midfield had a decent game, and he was trying to tell the players to calm down when West Ham were on top. He was like, just calm down. You see, he had experience. He's been through it before, those big games against English teams. But I think the youthful nature of the team just kind of showed there, and they just hadn't had enough experience in those kind of big occasions.
Yeah. No, fair enough. So Thursday then, what are you expecting? It's obviously nicely poised from a neutral's point of view, I suppose. I think both teams sort of came out the first leg feeling reasonably positive about it. What are you expecting? AZ obviously, still need to win the game to give themselves a shot of progressing to the final. How are you expecting they'll approach that? Hammer and tongs early doors again and try and get ahead, or will they be a little bit more measured and conservative this time? It'd be a difficult one for the manager.
Whilst Janssen's a bit more of a conservative manager than his predecessor on a slot, he's just won the title final. I do think they're going to come out of the blocks. I think they'll go for a goal quite early. I think it'll be an attacking performance all round from them. That's what I'm predicting. I don't see Janssen just suddenly changing what he's done really well in games that he has to win. I know before that he's thrown the kind of kitchen sink early on and it's worked and it hasn't gone against his side. I think what West Ham are going to have a joy is counter-attack. This is where the away goal would have been really good for West Ham. Because I think you can catch RZ out in the counter-attack this time. I think in London it was all about the physicality. I felt, sadly, I was kind of proven right. I think the physical nature of it all, second half, really caught up with them. You could just see West Ham winning header after header. I'd love to see the stats for the amount of things they win in the air, because they either had to lose the header, win the second ball, or they had to cause a foul. they were having a foul to get out of sticky situations because they couldn't win the aerial duels against Antonio and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't think this time it's going to be much like that unless it's a set piece. I think West Ham, using Benrahma and players just out of the counter attack, that's how you'll get your joy. They're not slow defenders, but if they're going to commit their fullbacks forward, especially Kirkes on the left side, there's going to be a gap opening up for sure.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Look, I was sort of, I don't know, I was equal parts excited and nervous. I wish I was going out there. I sort of couldn't quite pull this one off. Yeah, really. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm racked with nerves. I sort of am. I just sort of think that, you know, if we don't, you've mentioned before, a sort of 18,000 seater stadium or whatever, the atmosphere. I was really impressed with the AZ fans the other night. So you can imagine the atmosphere is going to be good. But West Ham have played in some big atmospheres before, particularly in Europe. One of our most famous nights, the 3-0 win away at Lyon last season in the Europa League. The atmosphere was vociferous in there, so I don't think that's not going to overwhelm the players too much. I just think, like you said, I think that we're a counter-attacking side, so I think if that's what's going to happen and AZ come out early, which I think they're going to have to do, or they're going to have to come at us at some point, I think if we take advantage, I could genuinely see us having the game put to bed by half time, or having the tie put to bed if, like you say, AZ come out early and then West Ham hit them on the counter attack like they know they can. I don't know how it's going to play out really, but I'm sort of, I don't know. It's an odd feeling really, because I mean, last year with the Europa League, I was head over heels for it, and it was a wonderful experience, one of the best of my life. There is obviously with this competition, every single round thus far, we've been expected to win and go through. So there haven't been these, we beat Sevilla home and away, and then we beat Lyon home and away, and then ran Eintracht Frankfurt close. There was this real sense that you were part of it, and it was amazing. I think with this one, we're sort of still expected to win, particularly going into it in a winning position. So that isn't a strange situation to be in. We're kind of expected to win the whole competition now, which is odd, but I'm really, really looking forward to the game. Who did AZ play at the weekend, mate? Just quickly.
FC Emmen, who are side battling the drop.
Right.
They had a terrible first half, so I just scored goal after goal and got the tie. Got the fixture just done early.
Yeah, nice. Well, look, Mike, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on this week again. Really appreciate your time last week and this week again ahead of that game on Thursday night. I give you the chance for a score prediction last week. I think you went for a draw. So I'll give you one more chance. This week, West Ham lead 2-1 going into the away leg, semi-final of the Europa Conference League. Second leg with a chance of getting to a European final. First major final it will be since 2006 with the FA Cup if we can get there. It's a huge game, an absolutely enormous game for West Ham. Same for AZ, no doubt. But give us a score prediction, Mike, before we let you go.
Don't know if it was on my own podcast, but I'm sure I predicted 2-1 West Ham. But I might have said draw on this one. I was trying to be a bit.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did.
I might have. I'm gonna say 2-1 RZ. I think extra time, and then after that, no idea. Maybe West Ham in extra time. That'll please.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. There's a little part of me that hopes but doesn't expect. Like I said, what I'd absolutely adore. 2-0 at half time, and I can get my flights to Prague booked. Got the lined up already. That's all I want. Nice and comfortable at half time. I don't, you never know.
I don't know if it is, mate. I don't know if it is.
No, West Ham, if they just turn up and play the game, we can. I think it benefits us with the other team having to attack and come on to us. But you just never know. This season's been a weird one. I'm just hoping with every single sinew in my body that we can do it. But listen, Mike, it's been absolutely great having you on the show. Thanks very much for giving us your time this week and last. Michael Statham there, or at Eredivisie Mike on Twitter. Go over and follow him because all of his content's really good. He knows everything there is to know about the Dutch top flight and all of its teams. So go and give him a follow if you like. It's a huge game on Thursday. I can't wait. I just can't wait. I know all of you listening feeling exactly the same. It's a real chance to finish this season on a high and deliver something that we've sort of been hungering after for so long. It's absolutely massive for West Ham. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Mike. And